Attack of the Vice Presidents. J.D. Vance accuses Tim Walz of lying about his military service. He says his stolen Valor garbage is infecting our country and disrespectful to all veterans and active service members across the country. We're talking about this and so much more here on Beyond the Headlines, only on Vigilant News. This segment is sponsored by My Patriot Supply, providing emergency kits to American families since 2008 at preparewithvnn.com. I'm Elijah Schaefer. Let's start the show. Well, Fox News reports the vice presidential debates may not be underway yet, but they're already fighting. This time, Kamala's pick, Tim Walz, is fighting with J.D. Vance, the pick of Donald Trump, about his military career. Let's see what J.D. Vance had to say. Walz abandoned his unit before they shipped out to Iraq, Vance claims. Senator J.D. Vance, a Republican of Ohio, accused Minnesota Governor Tim Walz of dodging his military service and misleading the country about his veteran status on Wednesday. We have the video here in just a moment, but I want to clarify that Vance made these statements while taking questions from reporters at a campaign rally in Detroit. A reporter asked Vance about Walz's attempt to frame him as a member of the elite who attended an Ivy League school. Now, J.D. Vance, obviously a veteran himself, had something to say about this. Town Hall clipped this out, put it directly on X, but I want you to listen to the words for yourself. This is where we're at, America. Watch.
Sir.
Last night, Governor Walz suggested that because of your Ivy League education and your Silicon backing your political career, that you yourself are part of the elite. What are your first impressions of them trying to frame you this way to the American public?
Well, look, I came from a family where nobody in my family had ever gone to law school. I grew up in a poor family. The fact that Tim Walz wants to turn it into a bad thing, that I actually worked myself through college, through law school, and made something myself, to me, that's the American dream. And if Tim Walz wants to insult it, I think that's frankly pretty bizarre. Now, look, what really bothers me about Tim Walz, it's not even the positions that he's taken, though certainly he has been a far left radical. You know what really bothers me about Tim Walz as a Marine who served his country in uniform? When the United States Marine Corps, when the United States of America asked me to go to Iraq to serve my country, I did it. I did what they asked me to do it, and I did it honorably, and I'm very proud of that service. When Tim Walz was asked by his country to go to Iraq, you know what he did? He dropped out of the Army and allowed his unit to go without him, a fact that he's been criticized for aggressively by a lot of the people that he served with. I think it's shameful to prepare your unit to go to Iraq, to make a promise that you're going to follow through, and then to drop out right before you actually have to go. I also think it's dishonest. Something, again, if you guys ever get an opportunity to ask Tim Walz or Kamala Harris some questions, he made this interesting comment that the Kamala Harris campaign put out there, and I bet they're regretting they put it out there now, because he said that and he was making a point about gun control, he said we shouldn't allow weapons that I used in war to be on America's streets. Well, I wonder, Tim Walz, when were you ever in war? What was this weapon that you carried into war, given that you abandoned your unit right before they went to Iraq, and he has not spent a day in a combat zone? What bothers me about Tim Walz is the stolen valor garbage. Do not pretend to be something that you're not. And if he wants to criticize me for getting an Ivy League education, I'm proud of the fact that my mamaw supported me, that I was able to make something of myself. I'd be ashamed if I was him and I lied about my military service like he did.
Yeah, well, I would be ashamed too, lying about your military service. Now, I know the Bible says, right, that if you want to live a peaceful and a calm life, seek holiness and don't let any lies touch your lips. That's a, age-old verse right there. But the truth is, we all do lie a little bit. Sometimes we lie to ourselves thinking that we're healthy. And I know if you're watching this, we all probably need to lose about 5 pounds or more. Yeah, I'm talking to you. But the most important part about this is that some lies are less consequential in the moment. But when you're lying about your military service, well, you're probably a narcissist, and you're also just trying to get points with the public, which means that you can't be trusted. So would I have evidence about this? Of course I would. Let's talk about this. Brian Donalds talked about this here on X directly, saying that nearly 3/4 of Americans have never heard of Tim Walz, so Democrats are deceptively trying to pass him off as moderate. But here's what he said: don't let them. Here's the real Tim Walz, reminding you that Brian Donalds is a congressman, husband, and father, and a follower of Christ fighting for you guys. He said that Tim Walz are these things: an apologist for socialism, wants sanctuary cities, wants free healthcare for illegals, wants driver's license for illegals, wants free college for illegals, wants illegals to scale the border wall, wants to help cover up Biden's decline, created a lockdown snitching line, shut down schools over COVID, destroyed businesses over COVID, defended and promoted the 2020 riots, supported defunding the police, supported oil and natural gas fracking, opposed bipartisan pro-veteran bills, wants to hold terrorists on U.S. soil, wants to strip parents of custody if they oppose the child's sex change, rationed life-saving drugs based on race. Wow, this is not looking good. I feel like I'm like somebody's wife right here, just listing things off, right? Smeared rural voters as rocks and cows, abandoned his National Guard unit, is vocally endorsed by the squad, and supports abortion up until the moment of birth. This guy is a sicko. This is disgusting. I mean, look, everyone can have their own personal problems, but wanting to murder children, lying about your military career, this stuff doesn't just make me sick. It makes me want to gag. Now, I want to show you this video by Brian Donalds where he was on Fox News, but I want to remind you that the insanity never ends. The chances of Kamala getting into office, well, it's real because they're probably going to rig the election. And as Americans, you've watched the unrest going on in the UK between these surging immigrants and the native populations. Well, when the apocalypse comes, make sure that you're not hungry and that you were smart and you made the choice now to protect you and your family with the emergency meal kits from My Patriot Supply. Each emergency meal kit, if you get the 1 week, has over 2,000 calories a day. These meal kits are nutritious, delicious. They'll fill you up. And the best part is they last 25 years stored in a rugged ammo can. You don't want to be that guy, that girl, that family member who did not only look out for yourself, but your loved ones when things are bad. I'm glad you have a gun and I'm glad that you have body armor, but do you have food? Well, make sure that you get these 1 week meal kits. And right now you can get them $50 off with my code preparewithvnn.com. Go to preparewithvnn.com today. That's preparewithvnn.com and grab these 1 week meal kits before they're too late. Stock up. If you want to eat for a week, grab one. If you'd like to eat longer when things get bad, maybe grab at least a few at preparewithvnn.com. Now, as I mentioned, Brian Donalds explained his thoughts on Tim Walz directly, and I have the evidence. Listen.
That is the weakest answer from Nancy Pelosi. The reason why she had to pause is because she knows that Tim Walz is a radical progressive. Look, Tim Walz agrees with Nancy Pelosi. He agrees, obviously, with Kamala Harris that what we must have in our country are massively open borders. Tim Walz signed into law driver's licenses for illegal immigrants in Minnesota. He wanted health care for illegal immigrants in Minnesota. This guy is incredibly left-wing. That is the weakest.
And that is the weakest thing. Now, here's the truth. Tim explained that he's against free speech. And here's what he had to say.
I think we need to push back on this. There's no guarantee to free speech on misinformation or hate speech, and especially around our democracy.
Hear that? There's no guarantee for free speech around misinformation. Misinformation is ideas that the government doesn't think are true or doesn't want you to believe are true. So he believes in restricting the First Amendment. This is not a good person. We cannot let him into power. Let me know your thoughts about the pick and whether you believe J.D. Vance or Tim Walz would be a better vice president for the United States of America by dropping a comment down below, liking this video. And if you'd like more of these videos direct to your inbox, you can sign up to our newsletter at vigilantnews.com or subscribe to our Rumble and our X account at Vigilant News. Have a great rest of the week as always. I'm Elijah Schaefer, and may God bless the United States of America. I'm signing out.